So this is Pastel. It's actually called Pan Pastel, it's black. And I'm gonna combine it today with charcoal. Show you guys how. It's a sponge too. A lot of people just think pastel is like the colorful oil pastel type stuff, which it is, but I can show you guys how to use soft pastel in black combined with charcoal. It's actually a really good base for charcoal drawing. The reason being it's buttery, silky, smooth, soft in black. Still has the same similar tone color, but it's less, what would you call it? Crumbly, you know, less powdery and rocky. So it makes for a really good base. It doesn't make for the best complete drawing. You can finish an entire drawing in it. There's just no texture to it. There's a lot less texture to, you can see that it's really smoky and smooth. So there's a lot less texture to it than charcoal. Actually, a lot of my charcoal drawings, which I call just charcoal drawings for the sake of simplicity, because that's really what they are huge amounts of pastel in them. People don't really know that sometimes. You get the similar quality of the way the material works, but if you get like a nice gray tone and shadow shapes down, then you can actually draw on it with charcoal later. Now I'm going to take this palette knife with the foam tip, dip that into the pastel, and start to make the smaller, more refined shadows on there, using it like a palette knife, like if you were painting. I like it too that it's very similar. It's as close as you can get to painting while still drawing. If you press hard, you get like nice dark, deep dark shadows like that, like matte black shadows. If you do lightly, then if you go lightly, you get a nice gradient of light to dark. So we have some lips there, and then I'm gonna add the nose kind of in here. I'm trying to identify these proportions on the fly, but it's the same thing as any other type of drawing, but I like to start off with the pastel on a lot of my drawings, not all of them, but a lot of my drawings. And this allows for me to create a nice, smooth under drawing. I find that the charcoal is really good for going really dark, really precise with the charcoal pencil, but it's also really good to create some texture and chaos. I'm going to take the sponge again. I'm going to actually give it a little bit of an interesting touch here, maybe fade it into some like smokiness here at the top of the face. This kind of disintegrating, make the drawing interesting, you know. Can also kind of hint at some hair here. And I'm going to take the side of this that doesn't have that much pastel on it, blend it all. Just blend, blend, blend. Kind of knock it down. So now we have mid-tone, a lot of mid-tone. We lost some of those details, but it's okay. We'll come back in with the charcoal. All right, now that I think that we're in a good spot in terms of the actual pastel, I'm going to come in with a piece of compressed charcoal. And actually this is more pastel, soft pastel, black, but it's in a block form, which kind of makes it feel like a compressed charcoal. I kind of use this instead of compressed charcoal sometimes. Sometimes I'll use compressed charcoal, but we pretty much have a pastel black, soft pastel drawing right now. But you can replace this step with just a piece of compressed charcoal. Very similar. Blending as I go, kind of refining these shadow shapes. I could be a little more precise with this, but you get this like toothy texture there, right? This is BFK Reeves paper that I'm working on. 250 GSM, I believe it is. And you kind of have to blend it out a little bit. I'll use my hand sometimes, or sometimes this blending stump like this. Kind of to gradate that shadow. create the feeling of depth. Maybe some chaos out here. All right. Now what I have here, which you can replace with any charcoal pencil, but this is a woodless charcoal pencil. If you guys want more information on the materials I use, check out the link in the description. But I like the woodless one because then you have a lot more material to work with. You don't have to sharpen it all the time. Yeah, you can use the side of it to kind of create more of a surface to work with. It's more of a precision thing. It's a lot easier to work in details with charcoal, especially the forms at which charcoal comes in. It's a lot easier than the pastel itself. But it's very mixable. Do you see that? Like, it's almost no difference in terms of color, like in warmness and the sheen of the charcoal is very similar to like just blending out that pastel in here. You get the same effect almost. So it's nice to apply the big areas of pastel first, soft pastel. You cannot do this with oil pastel, by the way. So don't go out and grab black oil pastel, because then it's just going to be like a crayon you're trying to draw on. It's not going to really work. It's got to be soft chalk pastel, chalk style pastel. I think the difference between pastel and charcoal is actually that the pigment, which is black, sometimes it is charcoal pigment in the pastel itself, is mixed with some clay binders, meaning that there's like that clay, rocky, muddy material in the pastel, giving it a little bit of a different quality, depending on what kind of pastel you're using. Now I have this blending stump, not blending stump, kneaded eraser, and I'm going to be able to kind of carve in somewhere where that light is hitting, sparingly, right? Because it's easy to go way too bright with this. Forming it into a chisel shape while I work on this. So the soft pastel actually works to be erased as well. Very similar to charcoal. But it tends to stain the page a little bit easier, and it's harder to kind of remove than the charcoal itself. So keep that in mind while you're drawing. Don't go too dark with that pastel at the beginning, because it will definitely stay there, at least partially, to the end. I'm trying to knock this back a little bit brighter. But you're getting that interesting like cross-hatching type texture with the edges of this kneaded eraser. So I'm gonna come back and blend that out after I get the color I want. I need to carve this shape out of the lip a little better. Here we go with the blending stump again. Knock that back. Pushing and pulling these tones kind of creates a unity between it all. Also, that texture is not my favorite on the face, so try to smooth that out a little bit. Then we'll come back in with some more highlights. Highlight on the nose right there. Brighter around the nose and the lip there. We'll hint at some teeth with the mouth slightly open there. Let's create like a reflected light at the bottom of the lip here, so you can kind of see where the shadow starts and the lip ends. Just a little bit there. And a tiny reflected light here on the side of the face. Just super light. Not light as in value, but very light touches. Kind of pull that value out just a little bit here. A little bit there. Hinting at that reflected light. All right. Coming back in with that woodless charcoal pencil. Refining, refining. Just a little bit of details here and there. All right. So that's how I utilize pastel and charcoal together. I think it's a very useful way of drawing. I think it's something I saw videos about other artists doing early on in my career as an artist, and I don't really see it all that often anymore, but I think that it's a good way to go about charcoal drawing and a more effective way to utilize your materials. So I hope this was helpful and hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Josh. Thanks for watching.